this tutorial I'm going to go over the joints and just the main points, like the classes, run over synovial joints, and then we'll also go over the loading cycle. So to start off, we'll talk about the types of joints. So there are three main types: synarthrosis, amphiarthrosis, and diarthrosis. And in the lecture he said there's going down these types of joints, there is an increase in mobility, but a decrease in stability. So that means at the top here, these joints are the most stable, and that means they're the strongest. But that also means that they have low mobility, so they don't move. In the middle, amphiarthrosis means little movement, little stability, so it's in the middle. And the last ones are diarthrosis, which is the most movement, and it's most joints in your body. Like you see here, your ankle, your knee, hip, anywhere that you need a wide range of motion, but that also means low stability, which means that these joints can get injured the most because, say, you could pop your knee out or roll your ankle because there's low stability, high mobility. So those are the three types of joints. In here, these joints are usually synovial joints. So that's when you have articular cartilage covering your bone and it being surrounded by this synovial membrane. So here we can see the parts of the synovial joint. Here's that articular cartilage, the bone, the articular capsule, which kind of wraps around the whole joint, and then you have the synovial membrane, which is all the way around the joint besides where the articular cartilage is. And then in the middle there's a little bit of that synovial fluid, which acts as a lubricant and prevents friction from occurring. Now if we go have a deeper look, so if we were to have a slice taken, this is what it would look like. So in here we'd have all of this synovial fluid, which is acting as that lubricant, and that is being secreted by these synovial sites. So that's within the intima of the synovial membrane. So the synovial fluid is produced by these cells. And then within the synovial membrane here, you have the subintima, which is filled with lots of other cells like fat cells and blood vessels. And these blood vessels are what allow nutrients to get into this joint because it's able to diffuse through. Also within here, we have heaps of fibers running along, and then in this fibrous layer, that's where most of the fibers are. And those would be more dense collagen fibers to protect the joint. Also there's nerves and fibroblasts. Fibroblasts are in both, and they're there to secrete the fibers that are within the connective tissue. So that's the kind of breakdown of what's happening within the synovial membrane. Now we'll look at this articular cartilage. So if we were to take a chunk out of there, this is what it will look like. So there are many layers. So we can go along and continue this little thing here, these lines which break it into layers. And another note is he said that there are collagen fibers which kind of have this orientation. And we can see here that these are kind of going horizontally. These are going in all directions. So it's kind of like a zigzag or crisscross motion. That's also seen over here. And then here we see that they're long. And side note, it attaches to the bone, which is what allows it to stay anchored on. So here, that anchors it into the bone, which prevents this cartilage from just slipping off. So here would be attached. Now if we can see the direction of the collagen fibers allows it to withstand forces from different directions. So here, this would prevent this type of force. So if the two joints were rubbing on each other, that would stop them from kind of getting ripped off. And then here, it's more compression, so if it was getting pulled or pushed along, it would take that force. So instead of just all being along this way and them getting ripped off, this allows it to get anchored in. So that's these type of forces. Also, we can see these little cells here, and those are the chondrocytes. And if we were to look on the side over here, we can see that they're also arranged differently. So down here, the chondrocytes have these, they're in the calcified cartilage. That means that they're kind of stuck where they are because the kind of connective tissue around them's harder to move around in. Then we have these. These are grouped in something called nests, and that's because if you imagine they were undergoing cell division, they'd be close together. Then up here, they're further apart, and at the top, they're kind of squished down. And just to finish it off, we'll go through the areas. So the surface zone is at the top of the articular cartilage. Then we have that middle zone where the fibers are going in a diagonal motion. Then we have the deep zone. And these ones are pretty easy to remember, so surface, middle, deep. Then you have the tide mark, which shows the difference between the straight cartilage and then the calcified cartilage. So deep zone, tide mark, calcified cartilage. Then you have the osteochondral junction, which is osteo, bone, and chondral, which is cartilage junction, so where the cartilage and the bone meet. And then we get the subchondral bone, which is subchondral, so chondral means cartilage, so beneath the cartilage. And then over here, we have that cement line, just to link it in with the beginning when we said that it was glued down. We can say it's cemented down, all of these fibers, to allow better stability. And so those are the main points from the joint lectures, and the next one will be on the muscle.